really different direction than I think everybody else. Have you, or how have you handled the tax situation with these contributions if you're a nonprofit organization?
That's a
If
really
you're
good
not
question.
a nonprofit organization.
If you're a nonprofit organization, it's a donation. But you also have to be cognizant that First Giving is handling that donation for you, so you do not have to send that letter out. There is new tax laws in place for crowdfunding, so there's a little bit of research that you're going to have to do to figure out where it falls between getting a gift and actually a point-of-sale purchase. I believe that it's taxable as income if it's not a donation, but I'm not an accountant, so I would recommend checking with an accountant and an attorney. But it may, depending on the dollar, if I think it's below $10,000, you can kind of get away with it. But if it's like, check with your accountant first, again, and factor
And
that.
your perks will have a influence on that. If you're giving perks in exchange for the contributions, that more than likely would be considered a sale.
That's why Kickstarter and Indiegogo are now kind of taxed, but you're not going to get two separate taxes for your campaign. You're going to get a flat tax.
Right.
So again, check with an accountant who would know that better than I do. But again, the laws are still very, very new. So depending on how savvy your accountant is, they may or may not know. But you can find some of that information online, most definitely. Yes, ma'am.
So what keeps these entrepreneurs honest once they get the money, that they use it in the way they say they're going to?
Integrity. I'm not going to lie to you. There are some people out there that have run campaigns. There was a guy who, you could do, I'll find that for you too. I thought about it in the back of my mind just while we were sitting at Starbucks before we came here. There was a guy who wanted to write a book and got a lot of money to write his book. And then either through a marketing stunt or through, he went nuts. One of his updates was a video of him burning this pile of books that everybody just paid for, and then he was like, I'm done. Another guy in the technology sphere raised $1.2 million, took the money, went and bought a Ferrari because he lived in Korea. You're not going to catch him.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So
wondering.
it's integrity, and it's a little bit of, not buyers beware, but I will tell you that Kickstarter and Indiegogo have started to put things in place that campaigns starting now are required and have some kind of fee levied against them if they do not fulfill their reward in a reasonable amount of time. Whereas there was, I think, some campaigns that have been grandfathered in that they started before that shift. So Kickstarter and Indiegogo, those two platforms have started to take efforts to try to stop those things.
But there are no Indiegogo police to make sure that you use the money
Correct.
the way you say you're going to use it.
Correct. I will tell you that there has been a lawsuit that was won where a gentleman did not get his reward and he sued the person that created the campaign and got his money back. And if Indiegogo or Kickstarter recognizes that this is a scam along the way, they will stop the campaign, and if it's a keep it all, those people will be refunded. Unfortunately, once the campaign is successful, after that, I'm still learning what their policies are for how to enforce that. But prior to say February 2014, it was Kickstarter had that really nice little warning. It's like Kickstarter does not guarantee that you will receive your rewards this time.
If they do find a scammer, do they actually report it to authorities, or do they just stop it and?
They shut it down and refund money if money's been taken. So if it's all or nothing, they just cancel it so you don't get any money taken away from you because they take the money at the end. Which is something else to keep in mind, sidebar comment. I promise an all or nothing campaign on either platform, I'm going to give you $300. If when the campaign goes successful and my account's in the negative, you're not getting that money. At all or nothing, they don't hold that for you. They don't put a lien against it. They basically say, it's going to sit in this pocket, and then we're going to take it from you at the end, and I hope that you have the money at the end. Whereas, get it as and keep it all, as soon as you give me $300, I get to keep it. But kind of going back to that a little bit, there's stopgaps and measures that they can do while the campaign's in play, but after the campaign's out, again, this is a new feeling territory that I'm still kind of figuring out for both platforms, because I think they are as well. Because both platforms are recognizing that it's not Indiegogo, it's not Kickstarter, it's not just GoFundMe. All platforms have the capability of somebody, and that number of people that actually scam is very, very small. But unfortunately, the squeaky wheel gets the loudest noise, so that you hear about the failed campaigns more than you hear about the successful ones.
So do these platforms actually report your income to the IRS?
No, it's kind of, it's on you.
It's all on just an honor-based?
It's an honor-based system.
Wow.
I mean, your bank's gonna know, like, if somebody does an audit for you and your bank sees, hey, you've got $10,000, where'd this $10,000 come from? IRS is probably gonna ask some questions.
So they don't send out, like, Indiegogo won't send out a 1099 miscellaneous or anything like that?
Correct.
Interesting.
But you see how much on the site, right?
Yes, you see how much is on the site. The bank will, if you set up through PayPal or if you set up to receive through your bank, the bank will have a record of money and transactions coming in. So again, this is gonna be like, again, a little bit of an honor system. If you.
But the IRS can see the site too. I mean,
The IRS can see the site once they start looking after you. I don't think the IRS is sitting on Kickstarter waiting for 10,000
No.
people to not report. They're gonna wait till you get audited.
Well, yeah, depends on how much you're gonna make on it.
Correct.
right?
I mean,
If you're-
It's
you're-
more than
if you're-
10,000.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
making.
if you're making $500,
$500,
I'm not going to speak, I'm not an attorney, I'm not
Yeah.
an accountant, but I don't work for the IRS in any way, shape, or form. But again, check with your accountant, and there may be your campaign's $8,000 to pay for your editing and first run of publishing. The IRS is probably going to go, okay, great. I don't know. That's not my area of expertise.
What happens if you, let's say I want to start out small, it's my first Indiegogo campaign, and I'm going to pick a target of $10,000 that
Yep.
I'm going to raise, and I want to do an app or a game or a movie, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you raise the money, but then you find out cost overruns, you're not going to be able to produce what you said you were with that amount of money, then do people get mad because you don't have a
So-
product?
Here's the thing, it comes back to integrity and honesty. I've had the same thing happen to me. My pre-production was actually less than I thought it would be, so I did a second campaign. I went back to every single person that contributed and was like, here's what's going on. So let me give you the story of what happened to me. I did a $250,000 campaign because I had hubris, and I was like, this is going to be amazing, and everybody's just going to love this idea. And then I only raised 10% of my goal. So I went back to those 10% people and said, all right, here's what I want to do. If you'll let me keep this 10%, I'm going to do a proof of concept. So all of those 90% of people who was like, I wanted to contribute, but I don't know what it is, are going to get a chance to see, can we do that? Now, 80% of those people said yes. Immediately, like you could look at the dates, it's within 24 to 48 hours, one campaign ended, the next campaign went up, and then I had to work really hard for that last 20%, whatever, that put me over. We got the proof of concept out, then I did a campaign for pre-production. I realized that some of my costs were a little off because as much as I am a big supporter of charity and I will give anything away for free if I support you and love you and you're doing something for good, some people that promised for it to be donated turn around and went. And those are costs I didn't factor in. So then I had to run a second campaign. As long as you're honest with people and as long as you're communicating with people and as long as you're telling them where things are and what's going on, most people will stick with you. You'll have a certain number of people that'll bitch and complain, but that number tends to be pretty small and you can make that number up somewhere else. Not that those people aren't valuable at all or aren't right in their feelings, but those people can be converted. There's a billion plus people in the world. You will find people to support you as long as you are honest, you have integrity, and you keep communication going.
I'm trying to be sure I understand the all or nothing idea versus the keep it all.
Okay,
You get nothing if you didn't reach your goal, is that the idea?
correct. So let's say you have two jars. Okay, you have the clear all or nothing jar, and then you have the keep it as it comes in jar. The keep it as it comes in jar, every time somebody puts in $5, you can go in and take that $5 out, but it'll still show $5 was contributed. You don't have to worry about it. The all or nothing jar has a little hole in the top. So as soon as somebody puts $5 in, you can't touch that until it's completely full. And if it's not completely full, somebody takes that jar away, disperses back all the money, and then you're stuck. Now, with the keep it all, if you only raise 95% of your goal, you're going to get a larger fee for the service of doing that, but you're still going to be able to make sure that your time is valuable. You do have the ability to refund money. You do have the ability to go, hey, look, we've reached 80% of our goal. Here's how things are going to change. I'm not going to be able to do an editor and a print run, but I can afford for 80% to do an editor and an EPUB, and I will do my best once we get to a place that we can you will get a physical copy that I promised you. So it then just becomes a matter of how much you're willing to communicate and do for the percentage that you received.
If you're not able to just get an extension because you didn't meet it by this date, can you just extend it
Is that still recording?
Mhm.
No, you cannot get an extension. So, again, it's that secret knowledge thing. So, both platforms will tell you no. Indiegogo, you have human beings. If you communicate to the human being, I'm fairly certain there's something that they can do.
Well, that kind of plays into a question I had of, where does this idea of 38-day campaign, 45, 60, who sets the number of days?
You do. When you
You do.
create your campaign, you can choose a 15, 20, 30, 45, 60, 72. Be ready to work your ass off or for 15 days, or be ready to have a lot of burnout come hour 60. I will tell you from running a 30-day campaign and a 40-day campaign, your fatigue by the end of it, you're just done. Like you have nothing left because you've done a full-time job if you have that, plus you've come home and marketed 7 days a week for 4 weeks straight, or for 5 weeks, or however long that period of time is. I do want to give you guys a bit of a warning that there is a little bit of a curve. So you have a high when you first start. Your first week is really, really huge. You're 30 to 33%. By the end of week 2, beginning of week 3, you're going to see a decrease in the amount of money coming in. The amount of money raised will still look really good. You're going up. But the amount of traction that comes down, it's natural. It happens on every campaign, unless you've just found lightning in a bottle and somebody just blew you up marketing-wise and people are throwing money at you because you're amazing. That tends to happen in one of 3 markets: technology, gaming, and then when you have a celebrity. Because the celebrity tends to get more press means more money coming in. There's no real dip for them. There have been celebrities that have run campaigns and completely did nothing to promote it, and it's failed. So just because you're a celebrity, or just because you have Neil Gaiman say something nice about you, and Neil Gaiman said something nice about me in my first campaign, Neil Gaiman's nice tweet